So guys, part 2 of creating an overlay and then make things following the bending font. So in part 1 we created just the font, and I was going in depth very much so that new players and new people to Blender can do that as well. This the next part is more advanced. We will continue what we did in the first part. But I warn you, this is going to be a little bit harder. Not super hard, but it's definitely a little bit of a challenge. So what we created in part 1 was not this one, was this one, and I would like to continue this one basically. So I would say, in case I screw something up, I make another copy of this file here. Yeah. So I'm just gonna call it world hello world 6. Okay, so what we have is right now, we're gonna change the view a little bit. This is nicer to look at. So right now we have hello world, and hello world is following when we go here into our timeline. Basically, again, I covered everything in part 1. Check it out if you want to see how to set up this kind of thing. So, but our goal now is to put things, to stick things to hello world, for example. And here is the thing a little bit. I'm going to explain it a little bit. There is a way, sure, you have when you use curves, you could actually use a path animation following stuff. But I tell you, this is really hard if you want to have the font bending and you want to, for example, if we just, as an example, you don't have to do this, I'm just showing this. If we just say, I think follow path. And then we're going to choose this one here. We could also technically animate this. So this would also work. But you see, the bending is not happening. And then you think, okay, well, I want to, with the follow path, also use the deform curve. And then you want to do that. And it doesn't really matter. I couldn't figure out how to set it up so that it actually, runs around the path and bends. The bending is important. I mean, it does it here a little bit, but it's really hard to do. I could not figure it out. Maybe you can. I mean, if so, that would be make a video. So then it saves some time. But I go approach which is also interesting and can be used for other things too. So it doesn't. We're not losing here anything, even if you have a better idea. Because anyway, let's just get started. So. In order to make stuff stick, you would think, okay, another alternative. You would say, okay, cube. I would like the cube follow the hello world. So you select the cube, select the hello world font, press Ctrl P to connect those both. And what happens? It will work, but you can see the problem here is that Blender doesn't know that the hello world is following the curve. So it shoots. I'm gonna basically it shoots this guy into the direction which hello world would technically be if not using the modifier, or not even. It uses the opposite. No, it uses the same direction. So it sticks to that, but it doesn't work. So it doesn't work. Good. Okay. How do we approach that in a better way? Is more complicated, but it's worth doing so. So what we need is a plane. The plane will be a ground where we stick stuff to it, and we have to use a plane because we need, I don't know for which reason, but it will work. We need to use vertices of the plane. We cannot use vertices with the font. Otherwise, I would do this with the font, but it doesn't work. So we're going to use the plane. The plane will be a playground again, and we can put things to the plane. So let's do that first. And yeah, I think so, exactly. So let's go ahead and grab a plane. Shift A, and we're going to get a plane. This plane will be our, I'm going to call it mom plane. So this will be the mom, and the children will follow, something like that. I had this I don't know, I cannot think of a better word right now. So let's use that. A mother plane, if you want. So, and what we need to do is very crucial. We need to go into the edit mode first by pressing tab. Now we're in the edit mode, and then go down to the data properties, and here we have vertex groups. it's very important that everything is selected. So if nothing is selected, if it looks like that, press A in the edit mode while selecting the plane to select all the vertices. Alternative, you can just, select it like that. If you're familiar with this principle, just press A, select all the vertices, and then go down data properties and then vertex groups and say plus. And here's another group, and I think group is completely fine. We created a new group and press assign. Like I always press 3 times to make sure it's assigned. Now hover with your mouse into the empty of Blender, somewhere empty, select something so that nothing is selected. Now go back to this window here and choose select, just to check if this worked out. It seems to work out perfectly. We will need this later. I explain later why we did this, but first jump out of the edit mode. So we are in the object mode, back in the object mode again, and we're gonna press S and Control S to save the file. You can, it's optional, but you can do that. Okay, now we have to make the plane follow the curve. So the plane is actually always a little bit independent of the font, but it's the only thing. Only the font and plane will be a little bit independent, but they're gonna be later in the same collection, so it doesn't really matter later on, but just to let you know. So let's go over to the modifier, select the modifier, then add modifier, and let's go to deform and choose the curve like we did with the font here, and then click on the selection button here, or selection icon here, and select the curve, or choose it in this window here. So now this one is already here, and following our little animation basically. So I have to think for a second. There is a way we want to have the same. I don't know if I did this last time. Let me just think for a second. Let me just pause. I have to think for a second. Okay, I hope that's good. I try a new approach because I didn't last time I did anyway, it doesn't matter. So this one has the hello font already has keyframes. This one doesn't. We want to have the same, we want to use the same keyframes. I'm not sure if this is a good idea. I hope so. But let's just do it in this way. Select the plane, select the hello world, and we go to objects, and then we go to, I think, I just saw it, link animations, exactly. Okay, again, select the plane, select the plane first, then hello world secondly, go to objects, go to link / transfer data, and then say link animation. Now they share the same animation. So basically, again, if you want to see how we set it up, yeah, this is actually already, to be honest, I think I just figured out a new way while doing this without making it overly complicated. This can be used with everything. Yeah, I think this is, I didn't expect that, to be honest. So I didn't know what I did last time. I already recorded some videos, but I used a different way. But this, let me just check it quickly if this would actually, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll just link those things. Link animation. Wait. Obviously, we have to use the curve first. So, I mean, this is, if anything, it's just another way to do the same thing. So we always have to select the curve, and then we have to link the animation data. And then, could I actually change that? Aha, here we go. So here's a little bit of a problem. Yeah, that works fine. So that's possible, but we want to have the ability to change the position. And this is not possible if the animation is being linked. It's good that I'm gonna delete the cube again. So basically what we set up so far, and that's good. So we linked the platform animation. We linked MAM to the world, hello world's animation. So that's good, because that's actually what we really want. And I'm happy this happened just accidentally, but that's really a good solution so far. For the other things, we don't want that. What's also important, MAM should not be visible in the render. So we can already say, don't be visible in the render. And we can go over to this window, to the filter properties, and turn on display in viewport. Yeah, so this one, we can just hide that also in the viewport without using the H key, which it's sometimes helpful when you want to hide things temporarily and unhide things, but certain things you want to hide forever. So it's an additional thing you can, it's optional though, you don't need that necessarily. We can leave it on for now so we can see that. So this is the one thing. Now we have basically the same problem. What we, I mean, one thing is good though, because I really had a different approach. Yeah, that's actually interesting because I think the reason why I encountered this because I had a completely different approach to this one. I remember that, and I don't really know which one is better for that. But it doesn't matter. I can maybe cover both of those options, yeah, because they have both advantages. Okay, well, let's continue. Maybe I can show you what I mean and you will see what yeah. Okay, let's continue with that. So now we want to stick other objects to that. Let's say you want to have a light. Doesn't make sense in our render type right now. So let's use something like the cube again. We change this, the size of the cube, just, whatever. It doesn't have, whatever size you prefer, doesn't really matter. And let's try to do this again. Let's try to connect the cube to the platform and press Control P to keep transform. So, and we have the same problem basically. So this is not how it works. It just simply will not work, except when we turn on, probably that would work when we turn on the deform and then curve. That should actually do the trick. So, but every free, yeah, we can actually, well, we can do it kinda, but it's not really convenient. So as you can see, so I'm just gonna get my cube back and or I'll just get a new cube, it's easier. So let's go back. A better way to do it is with constraints. So we're gonna go ahead and get a new cube, just change the shape a little bit. So we have a cube, we want to make the cube follow our plane. Or yeah, the plane is the mother. We have every object or light or other things we want to stick to it. We have to stick to mom, not to the font. That's very important. It doesn't work with the font. Okay, then let's go over to constraints. So not be confused. There are constraints and there are modifiers. Make sure it's constraints. It feels to me a little bit like a modifier, to be honest, but it's called constraints. So we select the cube, select constraints, and say copy the I think child of this would already work. I hope with this setup it works like I think. So child of, add constraint child of, and then we're gonna pick this one here, the plane, mom. And when we play the animation now, still doesn't work because we have to choose now the group we set up earlier. If you remember, this one here, the mom plane. When we go into the edit mode, we set up the group here at the beginning of this video. So that's important. And this group we need to choose now under the constraint tab here. Again, constraints, we have selected mom and the plane here. And then we have to select the group too. So now when we play the animation, it actually follows the plane mom, but the things are off a little bit, Even if I reset the cube, the position is off. So I press sometimes, what I do is, I don't know why, but it always works, set inverse and then clear inverse. And then it's like that. So this is how I do it. And we're going to do this again just to make sure you got this, because it's a little bit confusing. So now it works, and the advantages here, you can see, we can now actually change the position. So that's a huge advantage, to be honest. It gives you a little bit more creative freedom if you want. Makes stuff more interesting. And then you could add also lights now. Again, let's add a light, although it doesn't work because we are in the wrong render type. I used workbench. Let's go to Eve, why not? It works in both things. In Eve, at least we can use light. So right now we don't have a light. Let's just add a light, like just light. And we're gonna just choose what do we use? Choose area, because it's more interesting to look. So let's do the same thing with constraints. So select constraints, select child of, select the mother plane, and select what this is. You have to do it. I do not know why that is. Blender knows better where the vertices are than where the object is because of the modifiers. That's my understanding. Make of it what you want. I cannot really say why that is. This is my assumption. So group. So now this is disappeared again. Click set inverse, clear inverse. Why, I do not know. This is just working. And now we have a light source also following the stuff, so we can hide this one. And when we go into the camera, then you can see stuff like this happens. So this is one approach to then also render it like that. So this is, and in this way you can add whatever you want to add. Right? Again, the problem is really that sure you can make things follow the path, but then you have always to adjust things. I think this is also, I have like a car animation. I think about this. I'm not going to go into this too deep, but I did this follow path and stuff, but I always had a little bit of problems with this exact problem. You know, you kind of want to have like, you know, putting stuff to the to the main platform without adjusting everything individually or something, if this makes sense. So this works. I'm gonna show you a different version what I did instead, because I think this is completely fine. So you can already use that. Oh, before I show you the alternative, let's go over the render settings. I did this already in the other part, but it might be useful if I say this right away here too. That's very important. So very important. Doesn't matter which render type you use. If you have Eve, Workbench, Cycles, whatever Hydrostorm is, then you go over to Film and make sure it's transparent. You can only see that if you're in this window, in this viewport shading. Make sure it's transparent. This is the first very important step. Otherwise, it will not be transparent. And we want to have it transparent for overlay. Then the next very important thing, I'm saying this again, is here. This is the resolution. Feel free to change that. This is the default resolution of whatever you use. You know, if you have a 4K, it's probably a higher. 4K takes more time to render. It doesn't make sense for this little animation. You can turn it down a little bit. Play around with those settings. Next thing is output. This is where, here, last rights. This is my Let's Play channel. I'm not doing much, but once in a while I jump back, and I also learned English with this channel as well, so might be interesting if you're a gamer. So here's the output where the final render will be placed. That's not important. Important is that we have video settings. Video file format will be FFmpeg video. Very important is that you use RGBA. However, this will not be available when you just, you know, I'm going to show this quickly in a new Blender environment. Hold on. So this is a default Blender environment. So you change, this is at the output settings, you change it to the video file. That's very important. I'm showing here. Then you don't have this option here. You see, there is not the option, which is very important to turn on. You have to go down to encoding. Then you have to change the container to QuickTime. Then you have to go to video codec, and you have to change this one, H264, to technically you would think QuickTime. The problem with QuickTime is you try it out yourself or try out different settings. I'm not an expert on those things. I can only make it run smoothly, the final animation, if I use PNG. Every other setting was either not working at all or was stuttering. So in order to make a smooth animation, I figure out this is the only thing which works for me. If you have a better solution, a solution where the video file itself is smaller, then please feel free to write that, your recommendations, because I figured this out. I'm happy I did. I did already figure this out years ago, but accidentally when I did an animation for my Let's Play channel. However, with a flying spaceship, but I couldn't remember that how I did this, you know. And I also back then tried so many different things. So this I figured out over the last 3 days or something. It's not the first video again. I really, this one gave me a lot of headaches. Yeah, so those are the settings. Let's go over this one more time again. Make sure video settings, FFmpeg, RGBA, very important. You only see this if you set up this one correctly. So this one has to be active, QuickTime has to be active, video codec has to be PNG if you want to have a smooth experience. And I say we're gonna just render that. I'm gonna change the name and direction for offline. Okay, so this time we're gonna also play this one in Do I record? Yeah. So I changed this one to blah 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 because I know there's a lot of blah here. So okay. Yeah, let's use this animation. Why not? Huh? It's not the best one, but if you let's render this and then we're gonna do some more stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and but if you understood that and you advanced, you can already with this you have everything you need basically. But let me show you maybe just let's render this one, save in between because my system is a little bit unstable. I feel too many things I do. So I'm gonna render this as last time also. I could skip that, but I think you should suffer with me. So I don't see why I should only sit there and wait and bore myself and hope this will go through. So instead of that, I'm just talk to you or play with my phone. Yeah, I think everybody should do that, even it's annoying. Speaking of annoying, I would hate this if I if I watch a tutorial and the guys there was what the heck. At the same time, I would also understood. Yeah. So when this is done, I'm gonna show you instead of I just try to remember it for myself. Instead of using those keyframes, I'm gonna use a constraint to make to increase the x-axis, which is also interesting. And you may wanna check this out. We're gonna do this right after this is a success. We're gonna do that, and also we make use another constraint to make an object also rotate. Maybe the light source. So, but I think this is also taking longer. I wanted how many frames do we? Almost done. I mean, this time I use a little bit, but a question would also be, I also mention use the time while the final, depending on how much is going on in the scene, those videos, they can come out much bigger than you expected for short videos. So keep that in mind. A short video like 1 minute can sometimes, depending if there's a lot of things going on in your scene, can maybe have like 2 GB, 3 GB. Just keep that in mind that they can be big, which is not a problem nowadays. Everybody has like space, although like, we have more and more space, but somehow we don't. Anyway. But this could maybe, if you don't have an SSD and this is just on your normal HDD, which is still like a normal hard drive, maybe it can also cause stutter if your computer's not fast enough to read that. So keep that in mind. That's also why I say you may want to play around with the bit rates here. Leave it for now like I did, so that you can basically have the same experience, success hopefully. But play around with those settings, try to find a sweet spot between size and quality. And for an animation like this, easily half resolution would completely be sufficient. And then you can scale it up in the video editing or OBS. So we're almost done. See, you did it. Probably you skipped it anyway. So. Yeah, I mean, that's okay. So it's almost done. I'm gonna pick the thing already. Let's see. I called it blah blah open. So let's see if this was a success. And we run it. I'm gonna run it on a desktop. It's better to see. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it looks fine, right? We have also a loop. Again, if you want to see how I set up the loop, I just eyeballed. You can really and checked out the first part that I go through in. Yeah, so it seems to work just fine. Nice way to add stuff to that. Now you can add your own customized, nonsense like people love to do. I have to make sure turning this off again. I hope I did turn this off. Well, I hope, because I was actually happy with this recording now. I screwed up so many recordings because I forgot turning those things off, right at the beginning. I just went on for 15. I know this was a so hard thing to record. You wouldn't believe. Really, really not easy. Okay, let's stop the babbling for a second. And let's just continue with this. Let's just change it a little bit. So this is already working. We go back into the workbench. We don't need light right now. And actually we go in this setting. We actually don't need the work. Well, let me just use Eve, but in this setting. And I need to turn this one on again. So I'm gonna save before I change too much. What I wanna do is that would be interesting if this would work the same. So basically we are done. You can, do something else. I just have trouble finding. Of course, I'm looking for stuff which is actually not existing anyways. Because we're gonna do this right now. So I'm gonna delete the keys. So the animation keys are deleted, because instead of that I would like to reset this one here first. So we're resetting everything to 0, and instead of everything, I'm gonna hide everything for now. I'm gonna grab a new empty. So press Shift A, get an empty, get also, so this empty and space. Sorry, sphere. Empty sphere. Only you can choose whatever empty you want to choose. It doesn't even have to be an empty, to be honest, but it's I would recommend this one. And this one is just more visible. So we're gonna do make a key. Maybe I should do this. I mean, I like the settings here. I want to change that. You know what? No, it's fine. I can do that in here. It's fine. I mean, it's advanced thing anyway, so you have to follow. Okay, at keyframe 1 or 0, or actually it doesn't matter. We can start here. It's easier to be understood. It doesn't really matter. I just realized this. So we start with keyframe 100. We cannot. Okay, we start with keyframe 120. So at keyframe 120, only in this case, and if you watch part 1, you know why we start so weirdly. This is just a loop. We did a good job with the loop. It will not work anymore for that anyway, so I can actually default everything, because it probably doesn't work anymore. So we can actually start it properly. It will be changing. It will change anything. Okay, so we select the empty, then we go to the X location and we say I for inserting a keyframe. Now we have a keyframe, and now let's go to keyframe 20 for whatever keyframe you prefer, doesn't really matter. And we say go 1 meter at this keyframe, and when we play the animation, we have like a little thing going on at the X-axis. This is important for our setup. So this already goes in this direction. Now we select both keyframes, select Shift E. I have to say E loud because sometimes I say A and it's definitely E. I'm from Germany and this is really confusing to me. So Shift E while the mouse is here and make a cycles modifier. So now we have an endless modifier. It stops and starts from the beginning, but we want to have an exponential. I hope this is the right term. Please correct me on this. Meaning we want to have this go 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter, 4 meter, 5 meter, endless, go on like this. Limitless, just we want to let it go in one direction. We do this in the graph editor, like go over to the left side here, choose the graph editor. Again, in part 1 I went through this very slowly. Graph editor. So we are in graph editor, press the home button or position 1 key, only select this guy here, and then if this window is not here, make this a little bit bigger, press the N key. While this is selected and your mouse is here, press the N key. Go to the modifier and say after a repeat motion say repeat with offset. Now this one will go, I think, exponential. Just it will go on in one direction forever. The before mode is before the animation starts. It's actually, in our case, not important. It might be for other cases. I don't know. I would not imagine any circumstances where this would be important, but there's probably a reason. If it's existing, there's a reason for that. I also turn this on because I like it. Makes sense to me. Even though it doesn't matter, I turn this one on too. Let's jump back into our timeline, and when we play the animation now, this one is basically going in this direction. That's good. Now I'm going to unhide everything else. So you probably have guessed this already. What we're going to do now is we select the font. Where is our font anyways? Here. Also, we want to reset this one. And we will say the font shall now use this this one here, constraints. The font shall now use the location of this guy. The location doesn't have to be a child, only the location is sufficed, and actually only the X location is important. So under constraints, not modifier, select the picking thing here, picking icon, and pick R empty. So this will now basically be with this one we can have, we can basically control this guy. So, and we could do the same thing with although I wonder if this would work actually. So we could do it in this same way, for using constraints for the platform, and yeah, that's also, in this case they are also linked. That was my initial idea, but I think the approach earlier, which it came to me during the video, is much better, because it's not this would just add to the complexity. Has probably also an advantage, but okay. So what we do is selecting mom, the mother plane, and then add a constraint and say copy location, and then this guy again. So my initial idea is again that they share the same the same animation property if you want, but again, this is already a working thing. So this is one way to do it. If you use this method, we have to turn on offset if you want to change. Well, this is already interesting. This follows already. Yeah, if you want to change the position, they are all locked. So no, this is not locked twice. In case this is on, yeah, if you turned on all axis, then you have either to turn on offset to be able to change this with G, or you just use the X and then you can still go up and down, but not left and right, which will also make sense. But if you turn on offset, you can change everything. So that's, just keep that in mind. So this would be also an option. Why would that be better? Well, I can only think of one case, quickly changing an animation, you know, because you don't, if this is set up, you don't have to go always, let's just say I would like to change this animation, or just delete that, and I would just, you know, when you change this position here, it controls the other things. And if you want to animate that, you can just, you know, animate this quickly, like so, and maybe like so. Now it goes to, I think, the alternative direction, so you can change the direction quickly. Oh, this is also an interesting thing. With this method, you can also change, yeah, for example, if I click on the plane and I set invert, it goes the opposite. See, and this is an advantage you can do quickly with just, you know, clicking on those things. So this is also another advantage. When you have the linked stuff, that also works when you change the position, minus or plus, then you can also change the direction. But that's the advantage here. And also, again, when you wanna delete those keyframes, you can then, you know, just make a different animation, maybe, you know, slowing it down. Let's just do it here 0, and then like so, like another keyframe here. Just, you know, I'm just quickly playing around. You don't have to do this like that. And then you have a different kind of animation, and you control all of the things which are already set up. So that's an advantage, I think. So both things have an advantage. This is the nice thing about this method, but it's more complicated, that's for sure. But it's might be useful for something. Okay, now can I do this again? Can I? I cannot do undo this anymore, so I have to do this quickly again. Yeah. Bam, 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 bam. I wanted to see if I can do. Let me just think for a second. Do I need to render it again, or did I cover actually everything? Again, when you wanna see how to make the loop, watch part 1. The methods here I showed is interesting. And another thing I can maybe show quickly is, for example, let's say you would like to have also let's just make this quickly. But again, this is like advanced stuff. You don't really. So let's make this one rotate. Okay, let's just create the same thing in this rotation. So press I for insert, go to keyframe 50. Like for example, doesn't matter where the keyframe is, and here we're gonna just use 360 degree. This is also an advantage. If you select both of those guys, right now we have, when we play, because it goes 360, it completes a whole round. When we go hover with the mouse over those keyframes, press Shift E, boy, close, Shift E, make cycles, then this will automatically be, we don't have to go into graphic editor because it's a perfect cycle anyways. Perfect speed, perfect cycle. We don't have to do the same thing as we did before. I'm gonna show you this quickly. We don't have to go into the graph editor and change this because we don't see anything like stopping and starting from the beginning, but we can actually still do that. So this is you know, I still would recommend do it anyways, even though it seems to be not necessary. But let's just I'm doing this a little bit quicker, so I think I selected something else, but anyway, doesn't really matter right now. So we have this. I'm going to unhide anything and then everything, and then I could go ahead and could say copy rotation of this guy, and that means if this is moving, you know, you still, you know, have an endless moving thing, and you can make everything rotate and play around with those settings here. However, be careful with the influence. You would think, oh, influence seems to be, you know, slowing it down, but you can see what happens here. It just resets it because it doesn't complete the whole cycle, and it's, so I would not, for slowing it down purposes, I would rather, I would say slow down this animation instead of, you know, this. If you slow down this animation by bringing it closer together or further away, that would, yeah, it's better than you have this here. And also you can play around with those settings here, copy rotation, you know, change the rotation. Those things are actually not needed. This one is completely fine. Right now, you know, the cube is independently, you know, can rotate, you know. If you turn this on, you lock everything to this. There's no offset, but the way to do it is just use one rotation. So you can change this here. Okay, I think I covered everything. If you want to see how to do a loop, watch part 1 again. But basically, I eyeballed it. And now I'm getting tired. But it's good. I finished it before I actually, you know, I'm going to go soon, you know, for Christmas stuff, family and so on. And I wanted, really this one, I really wanted to finish, although I should really work on my car animation. Man, I mean, this is so hard. This is just babbling now, you can go. To motivate my, it's in the last couple of months, it was, so many things happened. And yeah, anyway, we'll see about that. Okay. About one thing more about comments. I'm not responding, but I'm reading them. I'm not responding because I'm overwhelmed, but I'm read them, and I may at some point respond again when I don't know how to deal with comments right now. So that's, you know, don't be offended or something. It's just I rather prefer the video talking stuff, but I read everything when it's a normal comment for sure. Okay, then yeah, I wish you a good time. That's it. Have a good one.